Finals of Sparkling Tuna Cup number 66. Hope you had a great time. Hope you enjoyed the brutal OST as we have begun the semifinals. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Polish Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Storm Gaming. It is Gerald. And if you are in the chat, you know what time it is. It's time to get your gamba going because predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Gerald, he is warmed up. He is ready for some PvP, but so is Trigger. As Gerald took down Lunacy, Trigger took down Rebellion. So the PvPs, they do continue here. And they're going to keep on going all night long. Let's go. All night long, man. The PvPs. We'll see how they do embrace themselves. I'm sure Trigger was watching. I'm sure he was paying attention to the previous PvP. So far, 2-gate opener, 2-gate opener out of Trigger, 2-gate opener out of Gerald as well. So far, so good. As the probes are moving out for their own respective scouts. Are moving out. So far, standard openers, the probes are not kind of deviating and they're not diverting towards the corners of the map. There's no proxy, there's no fake proxy, just a regular opener. So far, everything is looking as it should. As probe scouts are coming in, and both players confirmed that the second pylon is in the main and that it is not being proxied. So after a very chaotic series that we just had with Lunacy, we can now take a moment to breathe, take a moment to just calm things down, and have more civilized beginnings here in this PvP instead, in the semis. It is going to be Stalker Sentry from Trigger. This is as standard as standard can be, or as macro as macro can be. Gerald does open up double Stalker though. This is a more aggressive start from our Polish Protoss player. With this, he can gain map control. He can follow it up with a third and fourth Stalker and move out across the map. Trigger comes in with a pylon block to delay the expansion. And again, with the Stalker Sentry opener, Trigger will have the added advantage of an earlier scout with a hallucination. As the pylon will confirm. You have the pylon finishing up across the map, Stalkers are spotted, and both players are aware of their starting units. Gerald has the added benefit of being able to cancel the pylon. Trigger's pylon is going to be killed, and both players should be expanding. Trigger taking the slightly faster Nexus, Gerald slightly later. We do see that Trigger, I believe, did follow up with additional sentries, additional stalkers. Here comes that hallucination scout. Again, the power of a sentry-based opener is that you're able to scout and confirm if there's any missing tech, or especially what tech your opponent has gone for. Stargate, Robo, or Twilight Council. So Trigger will see all, he will know all. Meanwhile, we do see Geralt moving out with a more aggressive start, double Stalker into double Adept. The purpose of this Adept is to potentially shade past the army and shade into the main. Stalkers are revealed. Shield battery is already done. Very safe setup here by Trigger. In general, like Trigger is going for just really safe play with all the sentries, with the shield battery as well. Soon to be an overcharge. Adepts are shading into the main, and there's no wall up. Oof. Does force field, does catch one Adept, but alas, not quite in position. Adepts, they get into the main, they get a full scout, they get probe kills. Probes are going down, 3 probes already. And 3 probe kills, getting a 4th probe as well. And Geralt, he's not done. Behind this, going for a proxy Dark Shrine. Oh boy. He's going for the proxy. Now, Trigger did scout earlier. He was able to get eyes on the tech. He saw the Twilight Council, and if he even sees it now, he will see it researching, but little does he know that there's layers here to this build. DT's Invisible Man is on the way, and if Trigger does not get detection, the game can and will just end. It is a dynamic in PvP, but it is not uncommon for players to delay their robos for a little bit longer. This could be 2-gate into a it's 2-gate into a third. What does this mean? 0 detection. 0 detection. We're being a little bit too greedy here, and the greed is about to be punished. Trigger is moving out, going for his own counterattack. Cannot threaten the natural. Blink is not done from either player, so force fields are ideal. They can slice the army up. Dark Shrine is finishing though. Not like this. Protoss players, look away. Look away, papi. And again, this happens to the best Protoss players in the world. We've seen this happen to Max Packs, we've seen it happen to Hero, we've seen it happen to Classic, where if a player goes proxy DTs and if there is zero detection, it's just over. Smurge. Okay, there is a Robo on the way. If Gerald targets the Robo, then he will just win the game. That's the reality here. As the Robo is still in production. DTs are waddling in. Trigger, he may catch the Shimmer here on those Dark Templar. Yeah, he does spot them. Does pull away. Robo's, yeah, in production. DTs, they just go for the mineral lines. He goes for the Robo. Oh, nice save. The force field. Can he save the Robo? Can he save it? Damage is being done. Second Robo's on the way in the main. Eventually, Trigger, he will get detection. Until then, though, the Invisible Man, they're getting damage. DT busts into the main. Probes are falling. Main army hits the third. Oh, and this still just might be too much damage, to be honest. Like, it's really cool to see that there is a second Robo and the Observer is in production, but this is going to be 8 probe kills. A lot of damage being dealt. And in a mirror matchup specifically, this is brutal. 12 probe kills. 13. 14. 14 workers go down. Trigger will defend, but this is where we look at the worker counts. This is where Gerald, he's on 3 bases on 51 probes, and Trigger is down to 37. Didn't completely die, but did take some crippling damage. And right now, the pressure is on Trigger to bounce back. And again, in a mirror matchup, it's a little bit harder to do so because you have the same tools as your opponent. It's going to be on Trigger to outposition Gerald and to somehow get some counter damage. You can do so in a couple of different ways. You can do so with Blink Stalkers. You can do so with Adepts, like warping in a handful of Adepts and getting them across the map. Can put in a lot of work. Nice force fields. And Trigger trading okay. Going blow for blow, building on more Immortals. You just survive, and I do like this from Gerald. He's going for a Gateway Explosion. He's going for 6 gates behind this. I believe it's going to be an 8-gate setup on 3 bases. Gerald is taking a 4th, but Gerald can now focus on his army. He's up to 63 probes, and now can just focus on purely Warpins. Charge lots, Stalkers, Archons even as well with those DTs. And it is just going to be a numbers game at this point. Where with a greater economy, Gerald's kind of overwhelmed with a larger army. Sure, you're gonna try and keep up. Gets a couple of Stalkers. Gets 2, gets 3. Not bad. Let's get 3 Stalkers, but here come the charge lots. Warping in 10 Zealots at a time. That's a lot of Zealots. And Gerald is moving out.
Game paused.
Looks like there is a bit of an issue here. Hopefully everything's okay. If there is some latency, or maybe, Uber Eats has arrived and we have to get our food. It's possible. It's possible. Get your food, Pappy. Get your food. But hopefully nothing serious. Hopefully. As we wait for our players to be ready. Again, sometimes things do occur outside of the game, but it looks like our players are ready to dive back in.
Game resumed.
Here we go. Skeleto's rotate in between. Heads for the natural. Catching out the observers. And this is going to be a tough defense for Trigger. He does have a shield, but he does have an overcharge. Can he pull off the defense? Oh, the force fields, they lock down the Immortals. We dive on the shield battery. There is no overcharge. Not this time. GG gets called, and Gerald will take game number 1. GG. We get a very clean follow-up out of Gerald after a very successful proxy Dark Shrine. The DTs may not have straight up ended the game, but they kind of led. They paved the road for Gerald to walk to kind of claim the win in the end there. They did some crippling damage. They got so many worker kills. They sniped pylons. They delayed any kind of aggression to move out of Trigger. The DTs were the MVPs there for Gerald. And with that, Gerald takes a lead. And now we're jumping into game number 2. Ooh, and we're going to be loading into Dynasty, one of the more vetoed maps in the map pool. We don't often get to see PvPs on Dynasty, so I'm curious. I'm excited. Let's go. Let us go. Alright, jumping in. Is it a replay or live? These are live games. I see the wise guy in the chat. If they're ever replays, it is usually, we do typically state it in the title of the stream. We usually add like replay costs at the end if it's ever done via replays. But no, this is a live broadcast. And here we go. We're getting into our next game and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Dynasty. We have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the Polish Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Sidestorm Gaming. It is Gerald. Let's go. Now, one of the big reasons why this map is often vetoed, I mean in general, not just in this matchup, is the gold base. There is a pocket gold that you can try to take advantage of. That is not the case in PvP. This base typically cannot be expanded to until you take it as a 3rd or a 4th, until you get map control. The reason for this is because this base can be abused by range-based units like Adepts, Sentries, Stalkers. Almost every Protoss unit can abuse this position. So because of that, usually players, they avoid the gold for a little bit longer. Oh, I say that. Trigger, he's crazy. He's going for the gold. Trigger, he sends out the probe, and he will go for the gold base. Bold move by Trigger. And Gerald behind this, going for a standard 2-gate opener. Trigger, he's going for a gate expand. Oh, this is as greedy of his opener as you can go for. Trigger, he delays the second gateway. He delays the Cyber Core, and he skips the second gateway. And this is greedier than what Max Pax goes for example. So this is just hyper greed from Trigger. Will he get away with it? We can see that Gerald, he's blocking a base that isn't even being taken. So Gerald, he throws in the pylon, trying to get read what's going on. Throws out another pylon as well, dips into the main, and now he knows. Now he sees that the lack of gateway, and now he will confirm the gold. And the pressure is now suddenly on Gerald to punish this. The pressure is on. Double Stalker opener from our blue Protoss. Is initially double Stalker. This can lead into a proxy, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. So you can see Gerald getting in position. Yep, it's going to be a 1-base all-in. So Gerald, he responds with a 1-base all-in, and can Trigger get away with this greed? As a pylon is placed, this can lead into a proxy robo, into a gateway. For now, Stalkers are rallying across the map. Trigger, he scouts, he confirms there is no gold, there is no natural. Trigger confirms his opponent is on 1 base. And we need defenses back at home. We can see Trigger responding with his own robo and gateway explosion. Stalkers have arrived, and just like that, Gerald, he's going to deny mining. As you can see here, all it takes is a handful of Stalkers and you can just completely deny mining here at the gold base. So far so good. The pylon setup in the shield battery is delayed for Trigger, so he can't really fight this. He is stuck on 1 base. Now, to be fair, so is Gerald. Like, Gerald is also 1 basing, so because of that, the economies are quite similar. Trigger had a bit of a boosted economy because he was mining the gold for a little bit longer. And here comes that proxy robo, right in the face of Trigger. So again, it is that 1 base all-in from Gerald, but again, Trigger, he already has his robo. Like, he was already ready. He was anticipating this. He expected the 1 base all-in, and because that, Trigger actually has a faster Immortal. Okay, the Immortal has arrived. Shield battery is done. Trigger, he can go back to mining, and he can punish this. So far, so good. Trigger is holding. He does have the Immortal lead. Sentries on the way for force fields to try to lock down the army. The shields are triggered. I would love to see a second shield battery a little bit closer, not gonna lie. Oh! Force field does lock down the sentry, but not the Immortal. The Immortal is gonna go down though. Massive pickup. Trigger losing the Immortal. Without it, he can't really hold his own. The Immortal, though, is zoned away. Second Immortal's on the way for Trigger. Does rock up, and will hold. There we go. Second shield battery's on the way. Overcharge has still not been used. War Prism has arrived for Gerald. War Prism's still on the way for Trigger. Snipes a sentry. Looks like Gerald, he's planning to expand on the left-hand side of the gold. We'll take some hits. Gerald goes for the expansion. Goes for the gold. And you can see here the force field's not anywhere near as effective anymore. Both players can save their units. And Trigger going for an Adept counterattack. Remember, 2 Adepts can one-shot probes. Likewise, Gerald going for his own Immortal drop as well. Both players are dropping. Trigger still has a better economy. Immortals into the main. Going for the pylon. Going for the Immortal even as well. Ooh, don't quite get it. Prism has arrived. Shield battery's ready, but shield battery, it's not going to help against 2 Adepts. Yeah, probes are going to be going down. At the same time, Worker's also falling at the goal. Trigger late to respond, late to pull away. Yeah, 6 probes fall against 4. Meanwhile, Trigger does confirm the gold. Let's confirm. Overcharge gets popped. Immortal can hold its own. Ooh, and the Immortal does fall. That's actually a pretty big pickup. Gerald now has a massive Immortal lead. We do see a surround coming in. Another Immortal goes down. And can Trigger even take this fight? Goes down the force fields. That's juggling once again by Gerald. And he does he's able to just out-control this army. Takes out another Immortal. Yeah, the Prism is just a little bit too late. Took too long getting back home. Trigger being forced back. Get 1 Immortal against 3. You see Gerald pushing up the ramp. Nice force field will delay. Trigger, he's buying time. Oh, bit of a move command. Trigger almost punished. Getting to his 3rd Immortal. He's building up. Gateway goes down. Trigger still unable to mine. Okay, there's a lot going on. There's enough shading in. Meanwhile, the Immortal goes down. Nice pickup. Gerald, he slips up. Bleeds out an Immortal. Bleeds out 1. Meanwhile, across the map, the goal base is not really being made use of. Oh! There's not that much anti-air. Thankfully for Trigger. Won't get punished. Prism slips away. Dragging the army back. Distracting Gerald. Meanwhile, Trigger getting back into goal base saturation. Mortals do recall home. This is still a very tense moment between our players. See Gerald trying to lock down that Prism. Won't quite get it. Look at the main armies. We have 4 Immortal versus 4 Immortal. Supplies are very close. Trigger has the additional gas income with an extra gas geyser. And Trigger, he goes for a big counterattack. Oh, he doesn't even care. He's going for the gold or even trying to catch reinforcements. Speaking of being caught out though, Trigger, the Immortal. Immortal gets caught. Main armies to engage. Immortal goes down. Gerald caught in an awkward position. Stalkers are falling left and right. And Trigger, he will overwhelm. And Trigger, he just has too much to work with. And Gerald cannot keep up. Yeah, just a really awkward fight here for Gerald. And it looks like Trigger has done it. Trigger, he finally breaks free. It's been such an awkward game. such a tense game state here. With constant aggression. Adepts, they get back into the main. Trigger hits the gold. At the same time, gold mining is denied at the base of Trigger. But Trigger has a massive lead with Immortals, with bases. Nexus goes down. And Trigger should be able to keep going from here. Gerald, what does he have left in the main? He has 2 Immortals and 1 Stalker. That's all he has. And those 2 Immortals are moving out once again. Trigger, he's being denied mining. Sure, that's fine. At the same time, Trigger, he busts into the main. Trigger, he gets 1 gateway, gets a 2nd, takes down the pylon. From here, he can threaten the main base as well. Cybercore falls. No more Stalkers, no more sentries. Gerald, he's down to not even a gateway. Oh, sorry. Down to 1 gate. 1 gate behind the mineral line. Nice force field. Trigger, he's holding back at home. Trigger, he's racing back, trying to catch out the army. I mean, Recall, I believe, is on cooldown. Phoenix coming in. That I was not expecting. Looks down the Immortal, and here comes the surround. And Trigger, he comes back home, catches out the main army, cleans everything up. GG gets called, and Trigger, he fights back, forcing the ace match. GG. This was a wild game. GG, well played. A very chaotic game with Trigger kind of baiting the 1 base all in, and even though Trigger, he wasn't able to freely mine consistently from the gold, he was able to mine enough to make it worth it. If you remember, Trigger, he responded with his own safety robo. It was faster than the robo of Gerald, get into his own immortal production, and then we had a back and forth. We had Trigger bleeding out immortals, we had Gerald bleeding out immortals. It was just a lot of back and forth there between Trigger and Gerald. In the end, Trigger did come out on top, but that was a very close game. Very close. Was on a knife's edge for so long, and now we're going to game 3. It all ends here. It all ends on Crimson Court. Whew. Oh my god. Here we go. We're getting into the ace match. It all ends here. One of these 2 players will advance on to the grand finals. Who's it going to be? Who will be our first finalist? As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Sidestorm Gaming. It is Gerald. And again, this can go either way. It was a wild build out of Trigger with some mind games sprinkled in as well in game 2, which I did appreciate. But Crimson Court is a much more standard map. I say standard compared to Dynasty, but even then, Crimson Court has its own quirks. We do have our potential linear third base, which is very safe, very difficult to really punish. You can mine through these minerals and gain access to this expansion. Same can be said on the other side of the map, of course. And we can often lead to longer games because of that. We've seen a lot of late game on Crimson Court, just because it can be so difficult to punish some of these fringe bases on the left and right hand side of the map. But that's usually the case for some other matchups. I'm curious how a PvP plays out on this map as well. The other downside, or the other factor of this map, is because so much of the map is walled off, it does mean that proxies are weaker on this map early on. Because again, like, you're so limited with where you can throw down pylons, where you can throw down stargates, robos, and gateways. So proxies are easier to scout as a result. As we do have our probe scouts, we do have both of our pylons being placed. Trigger going for a standard opener, so is Gerald. 2 gate versus 2 gate. No crazy gate expand or anything like that. No one is cutting any corners this time. When it comes to our initial units, ooh, double adept. Double adept out of Trigger, Stalker, Sentry out of Gerald. So Gerald is going for a more macro opener with a Sentry first. Meanwhile, Trigger is being the aggressor instead. This double adept could turn into a 3rd and 4th adept, and even up to a 5th and 6th adept as well. Ooh, a Stargate behind this. So Trigger, he delays his expansion for an Oracle. So it's going to be Oracle plus Adept Harass. So very aggressive start here by Trigger. And yep, he's doubling down, getting up to 4, and again, can even go up to 6. So he's matching Adepts, going for oracles. Now the purpose here for Trigger, his base is going to be later. Ooh, even going for the cyber block. Oh my god, that is brutal. That's actually quite brutal here. This is going to be a heavy delay on the expansion, but Trigger will have the tools to counterattack and to get some economic damage. But Trigger needs to get some worker kills, otherwise he will fall behind. You have Gerald back at home opening up Stargate as well. But Gerald is unaware of the Stargate opener Trigger. Is in the dark. Pylon falls. Cybercore under fire as well. Again, just delaying the expansion for so long. And here comes that hallucination. Now what's important is that the Oracle is scouted. And that tells Gerald he can make a Phoenix. Because he has a Stargate, because he sees the Oracle, he can chrono out a Phoenix back at home, and he can completely shut down the Oracle. Oh boy. Speaking of, what do you have for us? The Oracle's moving out. Adepts recall back home. Adepts are across the map. And ooh, Gerald, he's going for the Oracle of his own. Bold move. Going for his own Oracle. Expansion is very delayed for Trigger. It just now gets thrown down. Meanwhile, Gerald's able to wall off in time. Just in time. Does wall off. Oracle's dipping in. Likewise, Adepts as well. And so far, Trigger just hasn't really done enough here. There we go. It's going to be Oracle into a Phoenix. So Geralt will eventually shut down these Oracles. Eventually. Oracles are dipping in. Headed for the main, going for a stasis. But the stasis trap is going to be targeted down. Does not finish, does not complete. So far, solid defense. Geralt is forced to finish the pylon, which is a little bit inefficient. He has to kill it himself. Meanwhile, the Oracle recalls back home. And then Trigger, yeah, he from here has to expand, has to chill out, and is going to be transitioning. Is going to be building up. And all in all, I do favor Geralt here. Geralt, he has a higher worker count, he has a faster natural. Shield battery in the main, Phoenix as well. I'll say that Geralt has a slight edge coming out of the early game. The aggression of of Trigger just wasn't really successful. Just wasn't really worth it in the end. Didn't achieve much. As from here, both players are building up. And again, it's not like Geralt has a massive lead, it's just, I would say, an edge at this point. Taking a faster third, has a slightly higher worker count. And we'll see where Trigger goes from here. Now, at least he has kept the Oracles alive. They weren't hunted down by the Phoenix. Trigger taking the forward expansion with a high-yield gas geyser. Let's go. A much more impactful and valuable base, especially when it comes to going into something like a 3-base all-in. Stasis traps are placed. Safety shield batteries on the way. Adepts are caught. Trigger, does he respond? Again, if he pulls away too much, he will leave his main or his third base vulnerable. He comes in. Oracle goes down. Ooh, the stasis is revealed. Geralt will back up. Geralt's back up for now. Threatens a shade. Both players expanding. Again, Geralt is the first to take his third. Is getting saturated. Trigger still one step behind. Just now finishing up his own. But with that high yield gas geyser, he can at least have a gas advantage over his opponent. Over Geralt. Both players getting to blink, getting into +1. The game is, in a way, stabilizing. Stalker count is heavily in favor of Trigger. He has been warping in a lot more intently here. Hasn't been skipping warp-ins. Does have a more threatening army. We Behind this, Gerald building up into a faster robo, into soon-to-be immortal production, I imagine. And we saw this against Lunacy earlier, if you recall. Gerald, he doesn't waste time too much with immortals. In a longer game, here comes the Bay. The Bay is on the way. There it is. The Robotics Bay is on the way. That's going to be to rush into Disruptors. Oh, Massive Stasis does go up. Uh-oh. How the Stalkers, they do get trapped in Trigger. He can keep going. He can't keep pushing. Okay, we'll retreat for now. He's going to camp the Stalkers that were stasis. We'll try to shut them down. Oh. Chase them. Nice catch by Trigger. Catching the Phoenix. Behind this, Trigger going for his own base, so both players are rushing into Disruptors. Gerald, of course, much faster. So Gerald will have the slight Disruptor lead. Meanwhile, with that Phoenix going down, the Oracles, they can come back in. They get 3 probes for 1 Oracle. Not the best trade, but at least 1 Oracle survives. While Trigger blinks in, forces a cancel, delays the 4th, takes his own. So far, Trigger doing a lot here with his Blink Stalkers. Catching out units, catching out bases. So far, so good. But here comes that first Disruptor. Here. That first Disruptor is on the way. Trigger pushing in, catching out Immortal. Gets 1, gets 2. Massive pickups. Gets both Immortals and the expansion once again. And Trigger with a higher Stalker count, he can just bully back Gerald. Without Disruptors, Gerald, he just cannot hold his own. Rocksteady knocked down. Trigger looking for another expansion. Can blink into the natural. There we go. The first Disruptor is out. 2 Robos up and running, making 2 Disruptors at a time. Trigger, meanwhile, still only on 1 Robo. Stalkers blink in. They're catching out more probes. More probes going down. Trigger pushing forward. Never goes up. Trigger! No! Oh, no reaction! Yeah, late reaction by Trigger. Massive Nova to the face. Not like this. He wasn't looking back. Wasn't quite looking. Has to be careful. Pushing into more Disruptors. Trigger has to pull away. And now Disruptor wars have begun. But again, Gerald has a massive Disruptor lead. Ooh. I say that the stasis goes off. 0 Disruptors. Send it back. Go in. Yeah, massive stasis goes off. There's 1 Disruptor behind this. Can he blink in? Does avoid the Nova. Going for the base. Nova goes up. Ooh, big connection. And now Trigger can focus on those final Disruptors. The Sage Traps have been the MVPs of this game for Trigger. Ooh. Yeah, we'll clean up almost every Disruptor. And there's 1 left. There's just 1 left behind this. And Trigger is overwhelming. Again, time and time again, the Stasis Traps have been popping up. Never connects. The base is denied. And Trigger has, what, a 30-40 supply lead. With Mass Blink Stalker. 1 wrong move, though. If it takes 1 or 2 big Novas to the face, and Gerald can still take a fight. But what's important is that Gerald, his 4th base is being denied. Now he's expanding on the right-hand side. Taking it back up 4th. Stalkers from behind. There it goes off. Oh! Forcing out more blinks. Gets a Disruptor. Massive pickup. And Trigger, he goes for the dive. It will focus down every single Disruptor. And they're all on cooldown. Overcharge gets popped. I don't know if Trigger can actually win this fight. He's going to try. But the cold game is in favor of Gerald. And massive wave of reinforcements. Zelda coming in from behind. Trigger, can he take this fight? Not quite. The Stalkers, they are struggling. Being forced back. Another Nova goes up. Oof. But it looks like Trigger, he barely has enough. Just barely. Gets the Robo. Denies the Disruptor. There's 2 Disruptors left. Gerald's up against the wall. Stellar reinforcements have arrived. I do think that Trigger can actually keep going, but he pulls back. He calms down, takes a moment to breathe, confirms there is still no expansion. It's here towards the right-hand side. And Trigger, he wants it. He wants that Nexus. He wants that base. Prism gets caught. Stasis goes off, catching a couple of Stalkers. And Gerald's out of position. Gerald, he's out of position at this point. The Nexus is going to fall. And Gerald, he just cannot save it. Not like this. Gerald just being contained. He still has the higher disruptor count, which is keeping him alive, but he can't really move out. Gerald, he can't break out, not from this contain. He's trying to, but time and time again, Trigger, he rotates, getting a 5th base behind this. Oh! Blink is not quite punished, almost. This Trigger does pull away. Once again confirming there is no expansion, going for a Zealot run by. Going for the Bay! Oh! Oh my god. At least attempting to. So the run by is denied. You can see Trigger trying to get into Phoenix production to help lift and help disable the disruptors of his opponent. Just the one Phoenix though, for now. And Trigger is maxed out. Now, the longer this game goes on, the better it's going to be for Gerald if he can just buy time, if he can get the space up and running. That's a lot of disruptors. That's a lot of balls, papi. That's a lot of balls. Ah. Nervous going off and big connections. Takes down disruptors. Not bad. Takes out most of the disruptors of Trigger. At the same time, Trigger going for a counterattack, going for the robos. And the robos are exposed. Trigger pushing in. Never goes off. Trigger, he's able to keep up. Does pull away. As Celsa getting into the mineral line. Damage is being dealt. And it's just a numbers game at this point. Gerald, he just doesn't have the supply to split between the two bases. He's being pulled apart. Gerald just cannot keep up. Not with the size of the army. There's a solid. The army blinks in. Takes out every single disruptor once again. Disruptor count gets reset. The Trigger, he's snowballing out of control. It looks like he has finally broken through. Massive Nova, but it's too late. It's too little too late at this point. Doesn't matter. GG gets called, and Trigger will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. Whew. GG, well played. Trigger didn't have the most ideal start to the game, but if you remember, it was the stasis traps. On multiple occasions, we saw Trigger catch like half, or if not the majority, of the stalkers in the center of the map, which he was able to punish, able to get a stalker lead, and after that is when he caught the disruptors. He caught, I think it was 3, right? I think it was 3 disruptors. It was 3 disruptors in the center, and from there it did snowball out of control. GG, well played. GG, well played. Congratulations. In the end, Trigger will take the series. He'll advance on to the finals, and we'll see who faces off against him in that best of 5. We shall see. Meanwhile, a shout out to Gerald. You know, this series was amazing, and you know, it takes 2 to tango. It takes a solid opponent to make a series quite like this. So a shout out to Gerald for making it to the semifinals, for making it this far in the tournament. Did go down to Trigger, but he made a series out of it and had his own very strong moments as well. If not just against Trigger, but against Lunacy earlier as well. GG. GG, well played.